So this is the Material Basics demo. We're going to do a rundown of the platform, what it can help you with, sort of like what our framework is and how we think about projects. I think that's really important because it is really different than a lot of the other design systems out there. So I'm just gonna start this by saying that we are a very different system in the way that we are set up. Again, our framework is a little bit different. Our belief about setting up projects is a little bit different. And those of you that are going to really shine and thrive and desperately need a system like Materio are going to be the ones the designers and design build teams who are using floor plans. You are working on multiple rooms, all the way up to 20,000 square feet spaces. That could be a home, that could be a commercial space. But what's going on is that you have a million decisions in your head. You are holding all of this in there while trying to stay sane and run your business and take on new projects and make sure that your reputation is strong. And so Materio is going to help you organize that in a framework that's really easy to understand, easy to kind of outline projects, and then take your projects all the way through to the end. So we're going to go through how you start a project in Materio, what type of documentation you can add in here, and how you can take this from scoped work all the way to final invoices and timelines. For those of you that maybe have seen things about Materio before, we do have quite a few new things recently that came out, so I'd love to just call those out at the beginning of this demo today. One of the things is that we now have, we've always had, we've had the timer for quite a while. We now have the pause capability, which is great. So you can kind of leave something going, pause it, come back to it later, which is really awesome. So in this, we're actually going to do estimating because we're going to start this project. So we're going to run that timer while we're building out this project and setting up a plan. Now, you'll notice in Materio over here on the right, I have a floor plan. This is my visual. You can upload floor plans here. You can create inspiration boards or product boards in Materio. You can upload renderings. You can upload boards that you've created outside of Materio if you'd like. So all of that is possible. You can also upload, before photos or photos that might help you bring some context, or you might need to communicate those with someone on your team or with a collaborator like a trade. So all of that is possible down here. You can also stack your pages. So you'll notice I have a stack that's kind of like a folder. That's going to help me keep everything organized. So when you get into these really big projects, and honestly, even with smaller projects, you're going to have a lot of documentation, a lot of visuals. You may want to archive some. You may want to store them there. This is going to be your place for that. So that's really, really convenient. The other thing you'll notice is, let's see on this one, or we've got all version ones here, but you'll notice I have this version. So this is actually going to allow me to have version control. This is going to allow me to replace the plan page if I need to, if we're working on space planning and we're drafting and we're not quite there yet. So this is going to be great for just uploading new versions and making sure that we're keeping it all up to date. You can always restore older versions. So super helpful when it comes to organizing the documents that goes into your project. Now, on the left here, you'll see that I have a button that says Start Outline. Once I'm starting in Materio, this is where I'm going to get going on what goes into this project. So you probably know this project if you're doing the drafting, or if your team is, and if you've worked on the space planning for this. But if not, this is a great way to just go through and study the plans and check all the boxes while you're doing it. So for this, we're going to do kitchen, primary bedroom, primary bath, bathroom, half bath, living room, pantry, office. We pretty much have everything in here. And then we might add in the sunroom as a custom location. So you'll notice I'm using some of Materio's standard items. And then I can also come in and offer up some custom locations as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I might also do bath 3 here. We've got laundry as well. So then I'm going to hit next, and this is where I'm going to start to think about the types of services that I'm offering and the categories of work that I'm going to be building out for this project. So let's say I'm a designer. I'm obviously going to be offering my design services, whether that's hourly, flat fee, all of that can be done here. I'm also going to be offering some finishes. So electrical finishes. Again, these are just kind of starting points. Chandeliers, sconces, wall lights. These are things that I most likely will use in this project, and I can always customize these later. plumbing. And you'll notice with things like plumbing, because I said I have a kitchen, because I said I have a primary bathroom, those are showing up as options for me. So I can select those and I can always choose that I don't want to have certain items in there. But for the sake of this demo, I just want to show you how easy it is to kind of organize this project. All right, so I'm going to add those in. And then next, when I'm setting up a project, I can optionally set up a budget. Now, oftentimes you may want to do this by location. How much do we have per room? When I actually created this project from the start, which we kind of skipped over because it's very simple, is I did set a $300,000 total budget for this project. So I could come in and make these very specific. I could also do it by category. Sometimes design build firms or people who are working with trades or getting budgets from contractors for a spec house, they may want to allocate the budgets per category. So I can do that as well. I can also skip this step. And then I'm going to determine how I am making money on this project. Now, most designers, we're going to be putting in a markup here. So let's just say that we are marking everything up. You know, this can be anywhere from 60% to 100%. Just depends on if you're buying wholesale. Um, and so that is how that works. And then you would say, yes, I'm buying wholesale and I'm charging retail. So I'd go ahead and enter that in. So now I'm going to create this outline. And what this is going to do is provide me with a really clear outline of what's needed. You'll notice that I have categories. Inside those categories, I have locations like bathroom, half bath. And then inside those locations, I have scope of work or items like toilet, bathroom sink, etc. You can always sort this by location and come in and see everything, you know, in this way, in this view as well, which is also really useful. So now that I have started off, I can start to sort of finish out this project. The idea here is that we're doing some preliminary budgeting. We're trying to put together some ideas and we're trying to get that number over to our client before we spend a lot of effort sourcing exact products. Now, this is new to designers. This is something that not a lot of other systems, really no other system allows you to do, but it's really important that when you're doing these large scale projects, you're actually planning. I know it sounds crazy, but it's really important because this is going to make sure that you have everything checked off. You have initial budgets in there. It's going to make your client feel like you're so put together. It's going to make the builder feel like you've got everything put together. It's a win-win, I promise. So we're doing a little bit of planning. And now for the really fun part. We hear a lot that this is like gaming or very fun to do. Now that I have some items here, I'm going to go ahead and mark the plans. So for instance, I want to have some sconces in the kitchen. I'm going to click the quantity, mark plans, and here I can go ahead and mark where I want those. Now you'll notice when I put those markers on there, Materio is quantifying that for me. So they're saying, okay, we've got 2 markers. Great. So we've got 2 units. And then I'm going to quickly just click the price and say, I'm going to estimate these are going to cost me 500. I've got my markup on there and I've got my tax. Great. I'm also going to go ahead and estimate that these are going to cost $50 to ship. And I actually want generally my shipping to only be marked up 10%. So you'll notice when I change that, I've got my default rates here. I'm just going to go ahead and change these all. And we're going to not mark up our tax labor. And I'm going to update all existing items. I'm going to hit save. So now all of my items will have those rates on those cost parts throughout. So that's really, really helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and you'll see I've got $16.55 for these sconces. Now that is my client facing price. Very quickly, I know exactly what I need. When I hand this off to the builder, when I have a product, they'll know exactly where it goes. And I have this preliminary budget and outline. Now the cool part is this is going to become not just a budget item or a piece of your contract or something. This is going to be a product that goes through procurement. It goes through all of the steps. And so this really becomes your living, breathing document. It's really cool. All right, so now that I have this in there, I'm gonna go ahead and do a few different items and show you. And just for the sake of this, we won't go super in depth on building the scope out, but I wanna show you the types of markers and things that you can do. So let's say that we are doing the floor tile. I'm gonna go ahead and mark the plans. For this, I'm gonna do the floor tile in this bathroom. You'll see when I highlight, it shows me the square footage. I can add in my waste. And then I can also do this for the shower floor. I'm gonna use the area tool for this. And my waist. And then I'm going to do the shower walls. And this one I'm going to do with our linear tool. So I'm going to go around the edge here. I'm just clicking and then I'm going to hit enter. and I'm going to go up with the height. So let's say it's 9 feet of tile that goes up and then waist. Now, if you had elevations, you could also mark the elevations to get these measurements. But the cool thing is you can do it right from the floor plan. And that linear tool is great for going up on a floor plan. If you don't have the elevations yet, you can still get a really good preliminary budget here. It's also great for things like you could do drywall, you could do cabinetry with a linear feed, you could do linear feet. I'm going up to do wallpaper, so it can be really, really helpful. Shower trim, we're actually going to remove that one. We don't want it. And then tub surround. And this one, we also don't have a tub, so we're going to remove it. Okay, so now I'm going to quickly put in what I think my budgets are for these flooring items. I'm just going to do a quick, we're going to say $12 and $10. And now, again, I really quickly have a number that looks like I've really put some time and effort into estimating what this project is going to take. So that is where we're at. Now, the cool thing is once you get your budget set up, you can also go ahead and send this contract over to your client. So we're kind of skipping ahead here. Obviously, we're going to build out our project. Let's actually put our design fees in here first. So I'm unchecking selection because this is a service. I'm going to put my design fee. I'm going to go ahead and say that this is a flat fee and I figured out this calculation elsewhere. I'm going to remove my markup and my tax because we're not taxing my services or marking it up. And I can just put in a design fee of $25,000. That's a flat fee for this entire project. Alternatively, I could put in a design hours. I could come in and estimate, this is going to take 200 hours. And I could go ahead and say that my price per hour is 150 an hour. And I can erase the markup on that. So there you go. Two different ways that you can actually track your flat fee or your hours and present that to your client. Obviously, you wouldn't use both of these probably on a project, but this is really helpful to know that you can do both of these. Now, separately, I want to call something to attention when it comes to fees. Down here at the bottom, if I expand the grand total, I can also come in and add in fees. This might be a procurement fee. Maybe we do 15% on top of everything for procurement. You can add that in. If you are a build firm and you have general liability insurance, you could add that in or put your builder profit and overhead here. But for designers, it's great to have project management fees, procurement fees, and all of that on top of your scope. And that can be invoiced. You can turn that off and on when you go to invoice your clients. So we've got our project. Let's just pretend that we've got it really built out here and we are ready to share it for the first time with our clients. So we're going to go over to share and we're actually going to send it as a contract first. So we're going to send this over. I'm going to add in my client here. And what it's going to do is generate my scope of work into more of a contract format. You can actually present it by location if you'd like. You can also summarize it per category if you don't want to break everything down, especially in this initial sort of proposal or presentation phase. You might just want to do groupings. Now, obviously, I haven't estimated everything here, but if I did, it would be nice and full. You can edit your standard contract terms here. If you want to outline any sort of specific payment schedules, you can implement that here and save it. And then I'm going to go ahead and send it over. You can, of course, download the PDF and have them sign it in person, but if you send this over, it's super easy for them to open it up in their email and sign it. And they don't even have to be on the Materio project yet. So that's the great thing. I can just get them to sign the contract. Now, once they send that signed contract, or once they sign that contract, it's going to come over to you in an email. It's also going to show up down here as with a check mark as one that's been signed. So just know that that is possible here as well. So we've gotten our contract signed. We're starting to get all of these decisions out of our head and into the system. We're doing it all in one place. Agreement is done. We're ready to go. So now when I'm ready to actually go in and share my inspiration boards with my clients or my renderings or things that I actually want them to give me their input on, I'm going to go ahead and invite them to the project. Again, you're going to invite them. You can explore other videos about pricing visibility and stuff, but all of this is here. You can choose how you want your client to see it and how they can collaborate with you. So send that over. Now, once they're here, you can actually get them to come in and comment. You can mention them. Hey, Marlon, what do you think about this rendering? And so this is really helpful because you can comment directly on your pages. So they can communicate on boards. They can communicate on the floor plans. This is especially helpful if you're in the space planning phase and you want to invite them in early and really get their input on the plan. That's very helpful. And so I just wanted to highlight that communication can happen on these visuals. It can also happen on these items themselves if they have questions about those items. And then as we fill in with product, it can also happen there. So I've got all of my scope of work. I've invited my client in. We are rocking and rolling on this project. We are getting ready to make sure that they know what they're doing and that we're ready to go. I wanted to also note that as you're sort of getting started in Materio, there's a few places you can do this, but the one thing is we also now have this task widget up here at the top. So I could say, invite client, and I could actually save that and then assign it to the person on my project. It's going to go out of my task list, but it's going to show up on theirs. With, hey, I need you to go ahead and invite the client. So you could actually delegate things through this task list up here. You could also do that once you have a timeline, you can create planned tasks and all that. So we have invited our client in, and now we are ready to sort of get some selections together to send it to them. Now, I'm not going to go through the depths of this, but obviously we have a Chrome extension where you can clip products. So you can clip those in and build out a library in your project or in your account rather. So it's a global library, it goes across all projects. And I'm going to go ahead and add in some things for my library. So because I'm pulling in a tile item, it's going to drop me into the tile category here. I'm going to go ahead and select some options and pull them in. So you'll see that I actually have two options for this bathroom floor tile. The other cool thing is that we're taking an item and we're allowing you to put multiple options in it. This allows you to present things in, high, medium, low budgets, different design choices, all of that. If you want all of the light options to show up first and then the second design scheme to show up second, you can rearrange these so that your clients see them in a different way. And like I said, they can come in and discuss this with you, which is great. So we're going to add in some product options here. We're going to add in some tile. And then we're going to get ready to send this over to our client. So to keep this quick, I'm going to add a few in, and now you'll see this big yellow banner up here that says send. So when I hit that, it's going to bring up the options that I have. If you're sending a lot of selections at one time, you can go ahead and filter down by different locations. Select your client. You can also send this to multiple clients if you'd like. It's only going to require the approval of one client, but you can notify multiples, and I'm going to send this over. It's going to clear out of this open workspace. It's going to be moved over here to awaiting approval. This is how you know that your client has gotten the email. They can see this and they can come in and look at these products and confirm them. So if we wanted to look at this from the client's view, you can always click your client up here and do view as. And you can come over here to the selections workspace. They're going to get this nice view where they see, the description, quantity, pricing, etc. And they can confirm the one that they want. So they're going to do that for both of them. And while they're making decisions about other things in that same location, they will see the other selections that they've approved. So that's great for context and just understanding what they've already made decisions about in that location. And then they can see them and confirmed, and you can as well. So if you come out of the client view here, the confirm space is where you're going to be able to manage from selection or approval on. So has it shipped? Is it received? Where is it at? And so all of that can be updated using the status by clicking the status. It's also very easy to see this if you put it in a table view and organize it that way. So that would be the confirmation space. Now, we are ready to take an invoice, and we didn't go over collecting retainers. I apologize, I jumped right in there. But when you're ready to collect payment on your products, we have videos on retainers specifically. If you need to collect design service retainers or explore that function first, check out the videos on our YouTube channel. But now I'm going to come in and I'm actually going to collect a deposit on these items that have been approved. Now you'll notice that anything in Materio that has more than a $0 amount can be invoiced for, even if it's not approved. So if you wanted to collect a deposit on 20% of your entire, budget for the project, that sort of initial budget, you absolutely can. Materio is going to itemize all of those, and you're actually using your scope of work to invoice. And as those things change and get approved, we will make sure that you are collecting the right amount of money. So I'm going to hit next. And in this case, I'm going to collect 75% of the total, and I actually want to defer the tax. Now, this is an accounting thing. You don't need to worry about this, but it is here. And if you're like most designers, you may want to defer that revenue. And so you want to uncheck that and use a deposit function. So I'm going to add this to an invoice. A lot to go through on invoicing as far as you can format it in certain ways. All of that's pretty self-explanatory. But what I can do is send these over. I can accept payment online through Materio, and then I can send this to my client. I can also title this if I wanted to. But what I'm trying to do here is collect payment so that I can go ahead and place these orders and feel confident that I've been paid for it, and then I can make those orders. So you'll also notice on this invoicing tab that I do have a QuickBooks sync over here. I am connected to QuickBooks Online. We do have a great integration for that. And so I can come in and make sure it's up to date, and I can easily link over to it in QuickBooks here as well. For the sake of this, I'm just going to say that we received payment. We got to check and save that payment. And now it is paid. So you want to make sure, that you've been fully paid before you go ahead and do these orders. So now I am ready to place orders. And let's back up a second and talk about how the orders person that's doing the orders is going to know how to do how and when to do the orders. Um, every day you're going to get a daily briefing, and that briefing is going to go through what's been approved, invoices that were paid, etc. So that's one glimpse into the project. The other is that when your orders person is ready to place the orders, they can come in and look at this item. And if you hover over it, it'll let you know if it's been paid. And so this is actually a great way to know, okay, this is paid. I'm ready to place this order. So there are two ways to place orders in Materio. One is actually the more traditional, send that PO over to the vendor. The other is going to be tracking an order you place online. We have videos on both of those on our YouTube channel, so please check those out. I don't want to spend a lot of time going into it. For this one, we'll just do that I already have an order. You could go place this online, screenshot it, drag it in, or upload an attachment if you have one. I'm just going to throw in a random example here. And this is where you're going to look at that receipt that you have and make sure that what's in Materio is matching. So if this actually was $7.89 and you actually paid $100 of shipping, you want to make sure that this lines up. And at the end of the day, these totals match. And once they do, you would just hit confirm. Now, if you're the one responsible for making the payments, then you would go ahead and record a payment. If you're not, you would just hit save, and you'll see that this is updated to ordered, and someone else is going to come in and make sure that this gets paid. There is a global procurement tab over here that will show you all of the orders across projects, and that's a great place for anyone on your team who's responsible for procurement to go ahead and check that out and know what to do. So we'll record a payment on this because we placed it online. If you're connected to QuickBooks, you can update your purchasing methods, and that is really great because it's going to auto reconcile with your banking feed. So definitely set that up if you're using QBO. And then I'm going to hit save. So now you'll see this is marked as fully paid. Of course, you can do partial payments as well. Now we'll track it. Now, let's say that I've gone ahead and placed this order. It's been a couple days, and now I've gotten a shipping notification. I kind of laugh because most things don't just ship in a couple days. We all know that. It could be weeks, but let's say I got the shipping notification, and so I want to come in and track that. If it's just one item, you can very easily come in and do that over here by clicking the status, clicking shipped, pasting in that tracking number, selecting the carrier. If you want to put any notes on it, you can, and then also scheduling that arrival on the timeline. That is all possible. And then if it's something that has multiple items, let's say we ordered 10 lights from the same vendor, 3 of them have shipped and 7 have not, that type of order tracking is going to be best done over here on the procurement or the orders tab. So let's say I want to open this up and I actually want to add a separate shipping notification here. I could do that. I could paste in the information, do the ship date, delivery date. And then if I had multiple items or if one box of this tile has shipped and the other hasn't, I can always come in and add that in and then just mark that as shipped and hit save. And that is actually going to update on my timeline, you'll see here. And it's also going to be over here on the shipment information when I click this. So that is how you're going to keep up to date with all the tracking and the shipping that is related to getting your items and your products to the job site on time. All right, so in the few moments that we have left, I want to quickly cover timeline. There's a lot to learn about the timeline, but I think what I want to make clear to everyone who's on this call today is that this timeline is going to help you plan out your project, make sense of things, and then allow you to put those deliveries on the timeline. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to reset this timeline. And I want to show you how you can use a template. So you can generate templates on your account. This is something you would set up. We're happy to help you with this, but you would say, okay, I'm going to do a full bathroom remodel, or maybe this is my design template here I want to pull in. What this is going to do is outline client the phases of work that you've set up in your template, and then also underneath it all of the planned tasks. So for instance, every time we do client onboarding, in that phase we do client intake, we send the contracts, we make sure that they're signed, we send a retainer, and we make sure that retainer is collected. And so by default, when you're using a template, these are going to be unassigned. You would just come in and make sure that you're assigning them to the team members who need to take care of it. And this is great because it allows you to very easily reuse a project template and then hand it off to your team. The other thing you can also do is explicitly set work days. So this phase needs to take only 3 days. You'll see that it will adjust it there. The other thing that's really cool about our timeline is you can build in these phases, and by default, they can be dependent on other phases. So you'll notice if I came in and added in a new phase, I could actually see that it's immediately dependent on the previous phase. I can quickly remove those dependencies if I don't want that, but it's really great because when one thing shifts, if other items are dependent on it, it's going to allow me to shift those. And you'll see if I move this here, it's going to shift that over. All right. This is what I was talking about earlier. When I go ahead and add in project level task here, it will show up in the other task on your timeline. So you can optionally add them here as well. This just makes it really quick for you to quickly add things in. You'll also notice that if you have a task assigned to you in a phase that is happening right now, you're also going to get that task showing up at your top widget right here. The other thing to know about the timelines is that this allows you to add in selection due dates, other decisions, like if you wanted to do floor plan revisions, bring those in. And then also, as you have upcoming deliveries, those are going to show here as well. So definitely explore the timelines, take a look at our timeline video. What I hope you gathered from the call today is that this is a really unique framework that allows you to connect scope of work and that sort of mental checklist that oftentimes we're running in a spreadsheet. And we're usually running it in a spreadsheet on top of another design system, on top of Asana. We've got Asana, Canva, design management system. We're trying to kind of piecemeal this all together. Our team is having to work in 4 to 5 places. But what this is going to allow you to do is put all of your projects, the selections, the specs, the floor plans, the documentation, the approvals, the communication, the timeline, the collaborators. We didn't even go there, right? The collaborators, the external collaborators, all of that is going to be right here in one system. So I'm so excited that you're curious about this. I know it can change your business. I know it can streamline your process and make your team run more efficiently. If you have any questions about Materio and you want to talk to us, just email us at hello@materio.co. We would be very excited to talk to you and explore how we could make your business better alongside our platform. So with that, I hope everyone has a lovely day, and bye everyone.